Hi, this is Mitch Cordover from St. Louis, Missouri. I fly with the Gateway Kite Club, and I'm making this video because there's been some recent threads on the internet under Go Make a Kite and on Kite Builders about making templates and how to protect the templates that you make for kite making. Some people suggest that you don't need templates. And I have to admit that when I'm doing a one-off kite, I sometimes draw my measurements directly onto the fabric. But in this case, as you see the template in front of you, in this case I'm going to have to make 12 of these, and so it's much easier to hot cut my fabric if I make a template that I can reproduce precisely. And this is going to be some kind of spinning device. So the question is what to make the template out of and how to protect it. In this case, I'm using bookboard, and I recommend bookboard. It is a relatively thick, quite sturdy and inflexible kind of pressed paper cardboard. In this case, I stole it from an architectural project that I found at a used bookstore. After I drew out and cut the bookboard with a razor knife, the next question is, how will I protect it? Now, I've used some bookboard templates dozens of times without really much problem, and they're very, very sturdy. But the truth is that, especially if you're doing something precise, after you've done 10 or 12 of them, the little corners start to burn away. As you run the hot knife along the edge, you sort of start to lose the precision of those corners. In some cases, I have little notches to mark the entrance or exit of a spar, and those get distorted. And so it's worth your while to line them. We've talked about various materials for edge binding, and on Rich Durant's recommendation, I decided to try this. This is copper foil, thin copper foil. It is a ½ an inch wide. This 20-yard package cost me about $6, and so it's not terribly expensive. I got it on Amazon. And then the next question is, how do you apply it so that it makes a nice, neat, crisp edge binding on the template? So that's what this is about. I'm going to open this up off of the camera. I should say that when you're done with this process, your template should look something like this. This is a template that for a class that I'll be doing at the national conference this year, the Illusion Rock. And you can see that I've got about an 1/8 of an inch of edge binding on this side, that the edge is really quite smooth, and whatever is left over, in this case it's probably about 1/4 of an inch, is left on the far side. So the question is, how do we do that, and how do we make it nice and neat and crisp with nice sharp edges? I start by making a reference line of about 8 inches, an 1/8 of an inch. It gives me a way to lay out the tape. So in this case, I'm just going to make a little mark at an 1/8 of an inch. And remember, this is a ½ inch tape, and so this isn't a terribly precise line, and so I'm just going to use my finger to make the line. So when I lay it down, I'll sort of know where I'm going with it. So am I still in focus here? An 1/8 inch line down the side. And I'm just using my finger as a guide because who's to know? All right. The next step is just to apply the tape along that line. Like all double-sided tape, this rolls neatly off the line, off the roll. And in this case, I'm just going to put it right on that line and spread it right to the very edge. Now you notice that I didn't go to the corner. It's important that you only have one line going over the corner, because otherwise they get quite bulky. So I just lay that in, and I am going to force the tape, this tape, over the corner like that. I'm really forcing it over hard to get this angle right. And then once it's down, I take my fingernail, I don't know if you can see this, and I run my fingernail across the top. Now notice I've left this open. Okay, so I've run my fingernail across the top in order to make it smooth. Now I have this bend. And what I want to do is fold this so that the first thing that lays down is the edge. And this, the first thing that lays down is the edge. And I'm going to burnish that in with my fingernail. If you have a lot of it to do, you can actually get a burnisher to do it. And the reason I want to do it like that is because I want to firm down this corner. I'm going to lay this down, firm down this corner, and lay this flat. Can you see that? Now in a second or two we will burnish these down, but let's do the other side first. What I'm going to do, this tore off, that's not very good. Start in the middle and work out toward the edge. Start in the middle. As long as the edge is covered, it does, this back end doesn't matter. I'm doing that for aesthetic reasons. And once again, when I get to the edge, I'm going to push one side right down to the very edge, fold it over, push this out to the very edge, fold it over. Now what I do is I take my fingernail, or you could use a burnisher, and I run it along this edge in order to make it nice and flat. Flipping it over, running it over the edge, making it nice and flat. And you can see that I have a nice clear edge with nice sharp corners. Do you see the corners? Can that focus that far? Yes, I think it can. Let's focus on this very thing. And there's only one layer of copper edge binding on that. Now you notice that I stopped before the very edge on this side. Let's lay down some more just to show what it looks like. So I've unrolled some more tape. Let's move this up in the field. I've unrolled some more tape. And I will lay the tape in on my line. From side to side, holding it nice and taut. And notice I'm leaving myself enough space on this side to do that turn. I'll just cut that off with my big heavy scissors. Obviously you would not cut copper with your fabric scissors. Just lay it down tight. Okay, once again, starting from the middle, I'm going to force this over the edge to make a nice sharp edge. Can you see that? I hope you can. And run my fingernail or your burnisher along the edge. Okay, now I have this corner to make. I lay it along the top, and it doesn't matter if it's 2 layers here, but I like to keep it as thin as possible so I don't have a little bump when I run my hot cutter along it. And once I have that turn made, how do I, let me zoom in. Once I have that turn made, I'm going to run this to the edge, fold that down. On the other side, where are we here? I'm going to run this to the edge and fold it down to make a nice corner. I only have 1 layer of tape on that edge, on that corner, so that it's not a big bulky bump as I go over it with a hot cutter. Let's unzoom it so you can see that I work from the middle out. And incidentally, this system works very well for making fighter kites as well. Now, I think you'll see that this is a quite sharp angle here. But remarkably, the same system works. What you want to do is have this part out to the angle, and you lay down the tape along the face of the... The problem is that sometimes you get some overhang. I didn't get much overhang on this side, but I have overhang on this side at a sharp enough angle. And what I do in that case is take my scissors and just clip it off. And you can see it makes a nice sharp edge. And this corner is preserved as a nice sharp corner. So when I make my turn, I'm going to finally put another piece along here. I need not belabor that point. But I would stop that piece right here so I don't have 2 layers going around that corner that would make a little bump in my template. I'm at cordover@charter.net, and so please feel free to contact me, or I inhabit and haunt kite builders and Go Build a Kite on Facebook, and I'm at your disposal. Mitch Cordover from the Gateway Kite Club. Thanks.